There seems to be canker, or perhaps a cancer, at the heart of something Britain can be genuinely proud of, its schools and colleges. British schools and colleges have been the envy, after all, of the modern world. You know, attracting children of elites from around the world. But here's something that may tarnish that pride. It seems that schools in the UK have become breeding grounds for anti-Hindu hate. Have a look at this. This is a report by the Henry Jackson Society, a non-partisan London-based think tank that strives to spread democracy and liberal values globally. It has conducted the first national study into discrimination against Hindus in the UK. And what does the study reveal? That anti-Hindu hate is widespread in British schools. That Hindu students have become victims of bullying, racial discrimination, threats of conversion. Some children keep hearing that as quote-unquote unbelievers, they are destined for hell. Can you believe that? Others are labeled terms like kafir, which some perceive to be a derogatory term for unbelievers. Let me start with some figures. According to the study, 51% of Hindu parents surveyed said that their child had experienced hate crimes in his or her school. 81% of the parents said the schools were unable to identify the crime as anti-Hindu hate. We wonder if they were unable or unwilling. 85% of the parents said the schools did not address anti-Hindu related incidents. There were a total of 8 cases of physical abuse that were described in detail by the parents, and there were at least 3 cases of students having to move schools due to anti-Hindu bullying. And if I speak of specific instances and testimonies, one parent revealed that her child used to go to school with a religious symbol on his forehead, and he was bullied to the point that he no longer wanted to attend school. Can you imagine the plight of that student? And what's worse, the same thing happened at other schools, so much so that the child had to change his school 3 times within East London, 3 times. Another parent revealed that her child had beef thrown at her by her Muslim classmates. They labeled her as a kafir and told her to convert if she wanted the bullying to stop. Another parent said that her child was told her religion was inferior. This is what his classmates once told him, and I'm quoting, "You are not going to survive very long. If you want to go to paradise, you will have to come to Islam. Hindus are the herbivores at the bottom of the food chain and will eat you up." And then have a look at this testimony. One parent said that his child was often held accountable for political issues in India. He was asked to give clarifications for political decisions back home. And by the way, it isn't just students perpetuating this hate. The teachers and the authorities have been equally blamed. In fact, one parent said that his child's class teacher would often show material that would highlight perceived ills within Hinduism, like casteism, and this type of selective highlighting and attribution of casteism to Hinduism would often lead to bullying. These testimonies are appalling, to say the least, and the lack of action even more so. The parents surveyed say that every time they complained, their requests were met with disdain and were not followed up thoroughly. How should we perceive this? Are British schools deliberately letting anti-Hindu hate perpetuate on their campuses? Some of you may feel that I am exaggerating misbehavior of the kind familiar in schools, as is known school children can be cruel, but I don't ask or raise these questions without reason. In the last couple of years, you see, we have witnessed several instances in the UK of Hindus being targeted for their identity. Just have a look at what happened last year. In September 2022, there were a string of attacks on Hindus living in Leicester and Smethwick. Videos showed mobs of British Pakistani men vandalizing homes, cars, businesses owned by Hindus. These attacks started right after the Asia Cup, where Pakistan was badly defeated by the Indian side. So rattled British Pakistani men decided to take their anger out on the Hindu community in the UK. And what's worse, the British media portrayed this as communal clashes. They did not talk about who started the violence. The headlines took the easy way out by blaming both the Hindus and the Muslims for the unrest. And then take this headline. Have a look at what it reads. Leicester disorder. Fear lingers among city's Muslims and Hindus. But the violence started with Muslim attacks. My point here is simple. Hatred against Hindus in the UK, hatred against Hindus in the UK is not restricted to one community or one school or one area. Look at this report now. The New Statesman published this in May 2022. The headline reads, How Labour Lost the Indian Vote. And what follows are lengthy paragraphs on how radicalized Indian politics has made Hindu voters in the UK. It links, quote-unquote, Hindu nationalism in the UK for the political decision of the Indian voters. But this is far from being the whole story. In the same period, the British have also proved that at the larger level, among the electorate, there is astonishing enlightenment and liberalism, perhaps unmatched anywhere else. Britain has made a practicing Hindu with an Indian wife Prime Minister of Britain, indeed the first non-white Prime Minister in its history. Rishi Sunak does not hide his Hinduism. He worships Lord Krishna in the Prime Ministerial home, 10 Downing Street. Not merely that, he has pulled the opinion poll ratings of his party from the depths to at least a fighting level, proving that voters across the political divide are not racist, pure and simple. So do the two facts contradict each other? In a way, what is certain is that while the majority of British voters reject racism, there is a strong, entrenched and powerful section that is making racism more powerful, more intolerant. It so happens that Hinduism is the third largest religion practiced in the UK. Hindus are a positive contribution to the British economy, community building and cultural diversity. But you see, nothing is perfect. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.